Last night we had something happen to us that should have killed us. Well, yeah, maybe. Most likely. And if it was maybe just one of the things that had happened, I may not have even thought twice about it. There was 3 other things that happened with it that just made it. Since April, I have been experiencing some very, well, let's just say abnormal and unexplainable things in my life. But last night, we're going to talk. I made a video the other day saying, if for some reason I shuffle off of this mortal coil, please know that it was not me. Please know. But things are getting a little bit scarier than I was used to. No, things are getting a lot scarier now. I have tried telling him now for months, and he just doesn't understand the things that I do. And on that note, I'm sure you're watching, leave him alone. Just leave him alone. My husband doesn't even do TikTok. My God, that man believes in globe earth. He thinks everyone's great. He has no idea. He has no idea what I know. Leave him alone. And I fucking mean it. Leave him alone. So if you're not understanding, or if you're not familiar, if you haven't seen some of the videos that I've made with some of the things that have happened in my life, let's just talk about them really quick so you can understand a little bit of what's going on. But what happened last night? Yeah. I've mentioned multiple times that if Auntie's even a slight fender bender, I'm either going to be quadriplegic or I'm no longer here. Maybe I should stop saying that, because maybe people who don't want me to be here might actually use that to their advantage like they tried to do last night. Yeah. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds like something out of a movie. It's hard. It's hard to explain. It's hard to wrap my head around too. But at some point, even my amazing law enforcement friends that have been helping me throughout this and different things, it is difficult for them to even find reasons to make this make sense other than what we think it is. Some very, very, very bad people don't want Auntie talking anymore. And I refuse. I refuse to go down as an accident. I refuse to take medicine that isn't mine. And I sure as shit am not taking medicine that's got a bunch of white dusty powder at the bottom of the bottle now. Medicine I have taken since 2018 that has never once had dust in the bottom of the bottle. And has never looked like that. Yeah. Medicine I left in my Airbnb while we were on the lake yesterday. It seems like somebody was very busy while we were out fishing. In April, it's when either I started to notice or when it all started. On April 11th, I had a revelation that has since been proven true. I'm not going to talk about it. If you want to look at it, the video is up from April 11th. But it was the day after that all of these things began to happen in my life. I have tried a million times to make this video, and I have found that I cannot list all of these things and still explain to you guys what happened last night. So I may just need to do a separate video explaining all of the things leading up to today, or last night, to make you understand why it is that this imminent threat, and what happened last night have not only escalated to a very scary point, but after what happened last night, it's hard to deny that my fear that somebody is trying to keep me from speaking on things. Even my skeptical husband now, after last night, has to admit that yes, in fact, I am right. It is real. So let's talk about last night and the fact that I am extremely blessed to even be making this video here today. My husband and I decided to bring our pontoon boat and our dogs up to Bliss, Idaho instead and go fishing. He took his truck and the dogs in the boat, and I chose to drive my Mercedes because I've had a really tough month and a half, and I like to play loud music, and I just kind of needed that road time on my own. It's vital you understand we got brand new tires on the trailer for our boat very recently, and when they do that, they check everything. The trailer, the axle, everything. And my husband, being the husband that he is, before he goes on any trips with our boat, he checks everything, and he checks it twice to make sure it's nice, secure, and tight. Yesterday was a horrible day, and maybe it was God trying to keep us here at the Airbnb and not go. But we pushed and finally got to the lake and got on the boat, and we fished until about 7 o'clock, leaving our truck and trailer, of course, in the lot. And we got back to the dock, we loaded the boat, and away we went to come back home to the Airbnb. It was not very long after we left the lake that my husband realized something was wrong. He pulled the truck over and said, something's not wrong with our lights. I said, how do you know? Well, I don't know. Whoever did this, you were sloppy. Because again, my husband can find an excuse for anything. But last night, even he knows somebody did this intentionally because it was really clear. Anyways, our truck is a nice truck, and the trailer, whenever we have to turn, he turns on the signal and our camera pops up on the screen in the truck showing our surroundings. And as he went to turn on the blinker, he realized, well, that didn't happen. Something's wrong with the lights on the truck. Like I said, he pulled over, and when he got out, when he came back, he looked kind of freaked out. He said, babe, something's not right. He said somebody had to have intentionally manipulated the plug to the lights to the trailer into the truck. You see, there's a little divot at the top of the plug, so you know that it fits in the divot in the truck. And somebody had unplugged it, flipped it around, and tried to plug it back in upside down. It won't work that way. It was as if somebody did that so they knew they would disable our lights to the back of the truck trailer. Yet when we would see it, it still looked like it was plugged in. My husband explained somebody had to have actually physically done that. And of course it was working, not only all the way from our hometown to Idaho while he drove it, but even as we drove to the lake. We saw it on the camera every time we would turn. So clearly it was done in the parking lot at the lake. We really didn't think much more of that, and then something happened next, not long after we left. I didn't think much of it until we got home, after we realized all the other things. As we were driving on the highway, 80 miles an hour, a car went to pass another vehicle, putting him in the position of being in front of us, where suddenly, as he got right in front of us, he slammed on his brakes, causing my husband to say some words that are not also Christian, and our truck and our trailer to swerve as my husband had to slam on his brakes and try to regain control of our truck, which he did, but it was scary. And then that car that was in front of us drove extremely slow for some reason. My husband's like, what is this guy's deal? When suddenly that car, well, it took off, and took off so fast there was no way we could catch up to it even if we tried. It was going fast. Like I said, we didn't think much of it, and then we got home. I got injured. I fell out in front of the house. Mike got me inside and settled, and he went back out to the truck to back the boat and the truck back into the driveway. He came running inside saying, Colette, there's something wrong. No, we have a big problem. We have a huge problem. He said one of our tires is smoking, and literally it's hot. If you're even standing a foot and a half away, you can feel the heat. All of the bearings have been spit, and the boot or the cap, I'm not a mechanic, was completely gone. Oil was all over the tire. He said, babe, it is a miracle we even made it back home. You see, the way that the tire was in that condition, it should have absolutely blown whatever and caused our pontoon boat most likely to flip, which in turn, speaking of friends of ours who work in this industry of tires, it would have, of course, because it's attached to our truck, caused our truck to flip and roll. But it didn't. As my husband was explaining this to me, he goes, how we made it home safe, I have no idea. This thing is like it's on fire. As he said that, I looked at our license plate, and the number 33 was right there. God kept us safe last night. But then it gets weirder. We went to inspect the front of the trailer when we realized there were bolts sitting on our spare tire. The same spare tire my husband had double-checked to make sure it was nice and tight, which it was before he left home. Our friend, after seeing it, said somebody did this. Somebody took that boot off your thing and maybe even took out some of the bearings. Either way, you should not have made it home safe. That's a mighty big pontoon boat, and boy, that could flip pretty easily. There were bolts on the top of our tire, and I told my husband, stop putting them back on. I want to take photos first. One good bump would have caused that tire to throw back up and probably land under the trailer, most likely under that tire I'm about to show you. You see, this is how it should look, but it looks like that. All of the bearings gone. This thing was smoking and hot, even a foot away. Just imagine somebody disabling a trailer's light, driving in front of them and slamming on their brakes, causing that person to slam on theirs, maybe hoping somebody being behind them, even a semi, wouldn't know they were even slowing or stopping because they have no light, getting rear-ended. But just in case that didn't work, imagine pulling out bearings in the boot in a very large pontoon boat's trailer and loosening all of the lug nuts on the spare tire. And as far as my medicine goes and that white powder below it in the bottle, I have no idea. But like I said, even my very skeptical husband last night, hands down, has to admit he knows there is not a doubt in his mind somebody intentionally did all of this. Had it just been one or two things, maybe he could have chalked it up as meh. But all of it put together, there's no doubt in his mind or mine. My husband understands now. This is very real.